I don't see the waiting room on my end. So,
Most of the attendees are here. I'll continue letting parents in as they show up in the waiting room, but everyone is in at this point.
okay. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Joe Ferrara. I'm the principal of PS41Q. It's very nice to see you all here. I see by the number of participants that we're missing quite a few parents that would have students coming to the school next year. So we're going to record this meeting and we'll upload it so that families could watch it later. And as long as I have your contact information, I'll send you, whatever information I have throughout the summer so that we'll stay in contact. I'd like to begin the meeting by just doing a few introductions so that you could put faces to names and just have a sense of who's here on the call. So again, my name is Joe Ferrara. I'm the principal of the school. I've been the principal for 6 years. I was the assistant principal for 5 years before that. And I was also a 5th grade teacher at the school before that. So I've been here many years. And I was also a student of New York City public schools. So I've been through the whole school system from elementary through high school. And I guess probably the most important thing you need to know about me is that I'm a dad and I have 4 sons and they're at all the levels of school that exist. So I have one in 1st grade right now. I have one in 4th grade. I have one in 7th grade and I have one in 10th grade. So they're all finishing those grades. So for sure, the most challenging of all of them last year and going into this year was my littlest one. So finishing up kindergarten with remote and starting off 1st grade in remote was very, very challenging. But you can imagine, if any of you have multiple kids, you know what that juggle is like, and because even one, can be all time consuming and all your attention goes there. But I want you to know, I make my decisions like an experienced school leader and teacher, but also as a parent. So I'm always in that mindset. And I'm very fortunate to have a partner in my work, Mrs. Caroline Galan, who's also on the call with us. Maybe she can introduce herself as well.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Caroline Galan. I'm the assistant principal. It's so nice to see so many new faces of parents that are joining us for this September. So I have been a assistant principal at PS41 for 6 years with Mr. Ferrara. And prior to that, I was a teacher at PS46, also in our school district, for 15 years. I taught 1st grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, and I was also the RTI teacher when I ended my time at PS46. Some things you should know about me is that I am also a working mom, similar to many of you. I have a 1st grader and a 3rd grader currently, also at a school in our district. And something special about my family is that my children actually speak 3 languages. So they are trilingual. They speak Mandarin Chinese, Spanish, and English, of course. It's very important to me and my husband that they're able to read and write and speak in all 3, and hopefully this will help them. And I always tell them, that's the gift I give to you, and the rest is up to you. So hopefully we can help contribute to that. The most important thing you need to know joining PS41 is that we are a very tight-knit community, and you will soon find out that this will be your second family starting day 1. I was told that before I joined PS41, and I said, how could it be that you just walk into the door and feel like it's your second home? And no matter if it's at 390 or at our host building at PS41, you are always welcome to our family, and you will soon be uttering those words yourself. So I won't have to explain it to you. You'll know the feeling right away. So welcome to the PS41 family, everyone.
So we are going to talk a lot about 390, which is basically our annex site for kindergarten for next year. We are fortunate to have the principal of that building with us on this call. Do you want to say hi, Principal Lieb? Are you still with us?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Principal Ferrara, for having me on the call. I'm very excited to begin this partnership with all of you and see all of your children in our building. Principal Ferrara has been very lovely throughout this whole experience. We've had several visits where he has been in the building, and we have a very special place in our building that will become home to your children. So thank you, and I am excited to embark on this journey with all of you as well.
Thank you. And I'll loop back to where Mrs. Galan ended her introduction, which was around becoming a quick member of the family, because your best friend will quickly become Mary Bo. Parents, if you would be kind enough just to mute your microphones, we'd appreciate it. Thank you. Anybody not on mute, just give us a mute. Thanks so much. Okay, so your best friend for your life at PS41 is about to come on to the call. Come on, Mary.
Hello, new parents. Thanks so much for joining us today. I am Mary Bo, and I'm your very first parent coordinator. My primary goal is to be your main resource in school, find answers for you, maybe lure you into getting involved in the PTA, or just being someone who wants to help, kind of like the school 311. And I know everyone moved here because they wanted the best school for their child. So good job, because we are the best school in the city, and I'm not even a little biased. But even though we have the best staff, it's the families that really make our school special. And I always brag about our amazing parent involvement. Now, I'm so sorry that this is the first time we're meeting like this, because typically I'd get to greet you in the main office during registration and give your little ones a magic lollipop. And the worst kept secret is that kindergarten is always my favorite grade. Shh. It's truly my daily cute show. But I really do hope we'll get back to some normalcy and be able to see each other in person at a school event or something in the future. And I always predict that you, as well as your kids, are going to meet their new best friend in school. I still kept a lot of my friendships that I made when my kids were in school. All three of my children attended PS41, and fun fact, Mr. Farrar was my youngest son Andy's fifth grade teacher. So I love PS41 because it's my school, my home, and I really do think of everyone as my school family. So if you have any questions about anything, just call me in the main office. In fact, put the school phone number in your contacts right now, 718-423-8333. That should be in your phone right now. Okay, thanks so much. Stay safe and see you soon.
So also, I know that Mary just gave the phone number of the main building. I want you to know that there will be a main office for PS41 located within their annex of 390 that will have a separate phone number. And as soon as I know that number, I will share that. Mary, we were lucky enough to have parents who submitted questions through a survey that I put out. So that's going to help inform some of what I'll talk about. But before we do that, I'd like to actually introduce some of our extended family here. We have new parent leadership that's going to be leading our PTA. If you'd like to take a moment maybe to introduce yourselves and say hello.
Hi, I'm Judy Kwok, and I have a third grader and a first grader, and they went to kindergarten here. Best teachers, Miss Gloria's there. Hi. Oh yeah, and I'm sure you'll love the school, and we're always open to everyone, welcoming. If you have any questions, you could, I'll put my email out there too. You could always reach me and anything else. And there's Denise too.
Hi, I'm Denise Yamaguchi. I'm the other co-PTA president. I also have three kids, one of which is still at PS41 in third grade, soon to be fourth grade, and we're looking forward to working with all of you guys next year with the PTA.
Now, to our PTA leadership, who I know are going to make a very concerted effort to get as many of our new kindergarten parents on board for committees and events at the school. I also know that the bigger questions that you all have right now are what you're sort of on the edge of your seats about. The things like, where will my kids be? Who will the teachers be? What about busing? What about, and I have answers, I think, to a lot of it. So we'll get to that. Before I do that, though, we have the kindergarten team actually on this call also that I'd like to just take a moment to introduce themselves so you could see who the teachers are that will be in that space for next year. Are you guys together in one room right now? I don't see you on the screen. Mrs. Kanaf, Chang,
Yes.
I don't see you guys.
Oh, no.
We can hear you. Oh, there you are.
Can
Okay.
you hear us?
Yes.
Hi, everyone. I'm Miss Napolitano. We just wanted to say hi, and we're really looking forward to working with all of you in September.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Canal. Nice to meet everyone. Can't wait to meet your children.
Hi, Miss Chang. Nice to meet you.
So they're all together today. They have subs in their classes because they're packing up all the things that need to go over to 390 and have that ready to receive your children. So let me get into some of the nuts and bolts of you know, what I believe that you'd like to know about for next year. And I'll get to some of the questions that you also submitted through the form that I sent out in the email. And if other questions come up, you could feel free to put them in the chat. I will do my best to answer. I'll start by saying there are questions I just will not know the answer to, and it's just a byproduct of the fact that first off, being in an annex is something new for us, and this pandemic has really thrown us for a curve. We've gone from you know, every sort of setup that you could think of in a school for this past school year, and we're still in it. We're still in a place of all the social distancing and safety protocols, and I'm not totally sure how that will look in September. But everything I'm thinking about for September, and I know Principal Lieb as well, we're really thinking about a lot in terms of like getting back to as normal as school might look, where it's maybe there are masks, but maybe the social distancing is relaxed, or perhaps there is still social distancing, but maybe it's only while you're in the hallways. I'm not totally sure. So let me go through some details. Let me try to get to everything I think is critical to know about. That'll include the questions that you asked, and you know, and then we'll go from there. Let me show you some pictures and things. Let me start with the fact that there will be 3 kindergarten classes next year. Each class will have 25 children in them. That's the maximum class size for kindergarten. We have an extensive wait list after those 75. So if anyone drops out and it frees up a seat, we are able to offer someone else on the wait list the spot. So I don't anticipate class sizes being any smaller than 25. We also do not anticipate opening up another class, so it will stay 3 classes for next year. Parents, if any of you on this call right now have a child who receives any sort of services, like potentially something like speech or OT, or they have an IEP, it would just be important for you to let me know. You could send me an email or give a call to the school. And at the end of this presentation, I'll put up all that contact information so you have it right in front of you. And in any of my emails, it's also in there, okay? So PS41Q is located at 56-10 214th Street in Bayside. And the reason that this is happening is because our school has always been chronically overcrowded. The main building of PS41. There was a point that we got to where we were at almost 170% capacity within the building. We were, you know, we're at a place of using closets to provide services, and every room is filled to the absolute maximum capacity. And in turn, we were using trailers behind our building, our main building, which bought us the space for another 4 classes. And that's where our kindergarten was. And lo and behold, you know, one of the things that we asked for always was an upgrade to the building. And we're very old, we're over 100 years old. And we happen to have a lot of land behind the building where those trailers are. And as luck would have it, we actually did get a grant from the state for a major expansion to the tune of about $50 million, which is going to be a very considerable extension added to the building, creating seats for everyone who's zoned for the school, also creating the availability to add pre-K and potentially 3K to PS41, which is what our future holds. We will also see upgrades to things like the cafeteria space. We'll see accessibility with an elevator. We'll see handicapped accessibility connected to the main building, upgraded alarms, fire systems, upgraded playgrounds. So all of that is what we're looking forward to. The thing is, we don't have the room to fit all of our kindergarten classes into the main building. We literally do not have the space. And that's why we were annexed. I know that this feels unusual for you guys, like how come my child is going to this other place? I don't want to undermine that or diminish those feelings in any way, but I do want to tell you that this is a pretty standard process across the city. There's hundreds of these type of projects that are going on throughout the city, and this is our turn for this. So we're looking forward to the future, but I want to tell you that in every possible way, we're going to make life at 390, sharing that space, wonderful and amazing, and your children will not be at a loss for any of the wonderful things that we have that go on at 41 in the main building. We will figure out solutions, okay? So the first day of school is on September 13th. And if you have not already seen it, I want to actually, just in case you have not seen it, 1 second here. I'm putting into the chat the, let me get back to Zoom, 1 second. I have like 25 screens open right now, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm putting into the chat the link for the calendar, the school calendar for next year. That'll show you all the pertinent dates. And right now, the most critical one is September 13th, which is the first day of school. And I want you to know, and I'll say this to you many times, you guys right now, I know that you need a lot of love, a lot of support, a lot of hand-holding to get to September. I'm going to be there for that. Mary Bo will be there for that. All of us will be there to support you. This will not be the only meeting that we'll have. And that is because 3 weeks from now, I might know more information. And a few weeks after that, I probably will know more information. And so I'll keep feeding that to you as much as possible. And again, if somebody can't make it onto this call, we'll communicate it in other ways so that we're getting to all of you. All right. So the school hours will be from 8:10 to 2:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. One of the main questions that came up from all of you, this was, in phone calls and in the survey that I sent out, I even see some in the chat, is related to bus service. So yes, basically, if you need bus service will be available. There is no fee for the bus service. There are stops that are established all throughout our zoned area for 41. So you would basically be assigned a stop that's the closest to your house. And I do not have the times yet for when the pickup and drop off will be for those. That's what we're working on now. But I actually do have the addresses of where those stops would be. So I should be able to share that with you very soon in terms of how close to your house that stop would actually be in the morning. And, invariably, there'll be some of you who maybe drop off a child with, like a parent or a sibling or something that maybe, and that bus stop is not right by your house. And if that's the case, we'll work with you and figure it out if you need the bus. I want to tell you that that's optional. The bus is optional. So if dropping your child off and picking them up in the morning, in the afternoon by car is your preference, that is fine, no problem. We have many, many families that do that here every single day. We have some families that walk, and most of our families are not bused to the school. And that is because bus service is not available if you live less than a mile from the school. But all of you would be a little over a mile from where 390 is, okay? So, and I want to actually flip to one slide for 1 second. I just want to do a screen share. Just in case you're not sure where 390 is, 1 second. I actually took a screenshot of a Google map so that I could show this to you. Mary, just come off mute, or Ms. Galan, just come off mute to make sure that I'm sharing my screen so they could see this.
Problem.
Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
All right, so this is a map of essentially Bayside. This is where we live. So up here on the top, that main building is where I am right now. That's where all of our students are right now. That's by Crocheron Park, so 35th Avenue and 214th place, essentially. And I drew that gray line, just kind of showing you the path. And right down there, if you've ever driven past at St. Robert's Church, 390 is actually in that building, and they renovated the whole space into a brand new school. It is unbelievable. The whole space is beautiful and brand new, but you could see the distance that you're going. It's about, I've clocked it in my car, it's about 1.7 miles total back and forth. So it takes me in a drive about 10 minutes back and forth. But in terms of busing, the stops would be sort of all through our zoned Bayside area. So one of the important questions that came up related to busing was, do I drop my child off at the main building of 41 and then they're bussed over, or how does that work? Bus stops will be throughout the neighborhood, so you'll never be coming to the main building of 41. You would be picked up at your bus stop and you'd be dropped off at that bus stop in the afternoon. If you have a child that comes to PS41 like a sibling, then you would just have to arrange that in your day with the timing of the morning to get one child to 390 and the other child to 41. Now, the big difference between the two schools, and I want to be clear because everything is tentative right now. Who knows what will happen? We're still under 3 feet restrictions, right? So I'm not even sure what will happen. However, in a normal world where I could get back to some sense of normalcy in the school, and by normalcy, I really mean what families were used to that helped them out, I would be able to open my doors a little bit earlier than what 390 does, because 390's doors will open at 8:10. So it won't be like you could drop off your child at 390 and then come to 41, because then your other child would be late. But the possibility does exist for you to drop off your child at 41 first and then go over to 390. And that would be the solution that we would have for siblings. That is the way that everyone with a middle schooler also does it. So anybody who has a sibling in say 158, which is our feeder school, they might go to 158 first and then come drop off at 41. My fingers are crossed that I can do that next year, because this year we weren't allowed to do it because we weren't allowed to commingle the groups of kids in our auditorium. But in September, I'm assuming that we will be able to. So cross your fingers with me that we could do that, and we'll have a 7:40 availability for drop off, and that should be helpful to some of the families. Also related to busing, and Mary, I don't know if you have any thoughts on this, but I thought it was a really interesting question. It was just about things like assemblies that may happen at 41, like how would the kindergartners participate in that? And I really do anticipate that functioning like a school trip for those guys, where they would basically get a bus service that would take them to the main building of 41 so that they wouldn't miss out on that. If there was a possibility to do an assembly at 390, certainly we would engage that too, but I think it's just a little premature to see how it will work out because we're on a learning curve with it. But I just want you to know how high of a priority kindergarten is. So you're at the top of our list with every thought. So there's not a plan that we're making without really first thinking about how it would impact kindergarten. All right, we want to make this as comforting and simple as possible for you if we can. So you'll automatically be assigned to the closest bus stop to your address. Again, busing is not required. Picking up your child from school, the teacher would want to see, they'd want to see you or your designated person. They'd want to make a connection with a face. No child is going to be released to anyone that we're not familiar with. So you couldn't just send a random person to the school to pick up your child. And look, the random person could be your mom or your dad coming, but if we don't know who they are and you haven't told us who they are and they're not on the emergency contact, then we're not sending the child with them. So we'll be looking for a regular pattern and a regular setup and regular communication with you in terms of how you want that to work. Children are offered to eat breakfast in the classrooms. That will be offered in September, and it's really very much a grab and go. So there's a bag that would feature perhaps yogurt and maybe a bagel and a milk That is, again, that's also optional. If your family decides to feed the child before they come to school, no problem. If they want breakfast when they come to school, no problem. And you know, Mrs. Galan, how many parents have we had that found out that their kids are eating breakfast at home and then coming into school and also eating the breakfast, so that they're getting double. And I know that for my kids, I would be in the kindest way possible telling them, no way, you are not having two breakfasts. You just
Well,
have.
I recently found out, Mr. Ferrara, that my own children do that. So they would come home with their lunch and I said, well, aren't you hungry? Then I figured out, are you eating breakfast at home and then at school? Well, sometimes, because it's something that I like, so.
Well, you just said that they're coming home with the food. My kids are eating the both. They're not coming home with anything, you know? So, and then they're coming home and having snacks. It's really not a good scene with the food. So parents, if you want them eating breakfast, great. If you're feeding them before they come in, just stay in contact with the teacher so that we're really clear on what your wishes are. If there are allergies, you know, anything that we need to know about, allergies, a gluten, you know, intolerance, any of that, let us know so that we're aware and we will stay on top of that. Our primary goal would be to keep children safe, you know, under all circumstances. Again, the doors open at 8:10. Okay, parking around the school at 390. There's a lot of parking around there, but I would, in your drop off, if you're dropping children off, just plan to be a few minutes earlier, because you don't want to be left where you're rushing around. You'll be able to find a spot, but sort of like the double parking and stuff will end up not being okay. So if you're brand new to school and this is your first go round with being in you know, kindergarten public school, you'll get used to the traffic expectations quickly. If you've been in school and you have other children, you know that it just becomes impossible with traffic around buildings at drop off and pickup. So I just ask you to, you know, make extra time for that, and please be punctual in your drop off and your pickup. So on my further list here, we're going to have at least one more event like this. I'm thinking several more, but a minimum of one more. And you know, in a pre-COVID world, we would have you guys coming into the building and we'd have your children come into the building so that they could tour around and they could see it and they could see the classroom and they could meet the teachers. That will happen. That is what our total plan is, that before school starts, you will have the opportunity to come to the school and see what the classrooms look like and walk around, and the kids will get a chance to see the rooms and they'll get to meet their teachers. And that'll be much closer to September, but that is our plan. So I don't want you to be nervous about that. It will not be a strange place. It's also very important for the kids to have that experience so that they feel comfortable walking into the building. We'll also have a Meet the Teacher event that takes place right away in September, so that if for some reason you have not personally met the teacher, or you have a significant other that wants to meet the teacher, there'll be another opportunity for that as well. I'm very happy also to share that we are going to be providing the school supplies to your children for this September. We have never done that before, but we are doing that now as a way to welcome you guys into our community. And so all that I will ask for in supplies is buy them really cute looking backpacks, maybe to carry all their stuff. You know, invariably the teachers are going to put out a wish list, and I will tell you in advance, the type of things that the teachers wish for are all and only in the interest of like keeping your kids clean and safe. So like unscented baby wipes, paper towels, you know, things, tissues for the classroom. They're not the typical things that we're able to buy for the school. So if you're asked for anything, those might be the things. So if you're thinking about that now and you're at Costco and you want to do that, you know, unscented baby wipes, and paper towels, maybe Ziploc baggies, those are the types of things. But in terms of like notebooks, folders, any of that, we've got you covered. Don't worry about it. your child will receive that all when they start school. We are going to ask you all for emergency contact information. If you have not already filled that out, we will ask you again close to the start of school year. It is two things are super, super important with that. One is if you've changed the phone number or an email address and we don't have that, please keep us up to date so that we know that information and we're able to get in touch with you in the event of an emergency. You will all be asked to fill out lunch applications. This is regardless of your income level. We're required to have that filled out by all families. So please just, we appreciate your cooperation when you see those forms. We got some questions about snacks in class. While we do not provide snacks to children, you could certainly send in a healthy snack with children. We ask you to avoid nuts, as there might be allergies in the classroom. You could send in little water bottles with kids. One of the cool things about 390 that is different than 41 is that 390 has those filtered water dispensers right outside the classrooms and the hallways. So if they do bring like a little Poland Spring water bottle, they could always fill it back up with water throughout the day if they need to. I ask that you please don't send in any juice, because if that spills, it's very sticky. No need to send in any milk because it can spoil, and children are offered milk for free. If you do send in any of that stuff, please just label it, stick your child's name onto the item, write it in a Sharpie or put a little sticker on it so that it doesn't get mixed up with somebody else's things. Children will get homework in kindergarten. It's very, very minimal. The teachers may ask them to complete something that they were working on in class, potentially some independent reading, but we're talking about 10 to 15 minutes, something very, very manageable for, for these little guys. As a dad, I think about, all of my kids have been through kindergarten. I distinctly remember what kindergarten was like for all of them. I would say with certainty, and I don't know, this is just how it happens, everybody. My oldest one, who's in going into 11th grade, most certainly got the highest degree of attention in kindergarten. He was the one-man show for kindergarten, and he had our undivided attention. My kindergartner that just finished kindergarten last year, yeah, he was a little more independent on some things, and he got a lot of hugs, but it wasn't the same. And your kids, they're going to need your attention as much as you could possibly give it to them, but homework will be small. There will be notices that are sent home that go home potentially in folders, but we have made a total transition to electronic communication. So anything that I'm sending home, I will send to you from our distribution list in a PDF format or in an email. There will still be active Google Classrooms for children, so that anything from the teacher that needs to go online, they will be able to access, and you'll be able to see that. And if you have anything that you need to get in touch with the teacher for, there's no reason not to send a letter into the school. However, all of them use email regularly. They also use different communication methods like, I don't know if the kindergarten teachers are still on, but a lot of the teachers use like the Remind app, which allows you to text back and forth with the teacher, or Class Dojo, which also allows a back and forth communication in an electronic format. Oh, kindergarten, there you are. Do you want to chime in about that?
I feel like all teachers, we all use something different. Some of us use Remind or Class Dojo, but it's a really great way to communicate. It also offers like translation. So if I will send something on a Class Dojo and a parent can't read English, they can just have it translated into their language. So that's one really good feature about the Class Dojo. It's also a great way to communicate, quickly.
Thank you. So they'll get in touch with you right away about, how you could join up for that. And again, if it's you and a significant other, if it's mom and dad, whatever the case may be, there'll be a way for us to get in touch with you and you to stay in touch with us. If your child does have allergies and they have an EpiPen, or they have, or they're using an inhaler or something like that, it's very important that you let us know so that we're aware. There is a nurse that is at the school, so that in case of an emergency, you have that nurse. But there are some children who, especially at kindergarten, who might potentially need an inhaler, that they're not doing the inhaler themselves, or they need it under the guidance of an adult. And you want to let us know that, so we have a plan in place and we're able to support them. Parents, I know that this is not news for you, but if your child is sick, please keep them home. If they are having a cough or a fever or sneezing or any of that, please just keep them home. We want them to get well quickly. We're not going to assume that it's COVID related, but this is under any circumstance. Just let them stay home and get better and not pass that on to other folks. Right now, anybody who enters a public school is given a questionnaire that has to be filled out every day that asks about exposure to COVID, asks about things like being tested, traveling, vaccination, any of that. I don't know if that will be the case for September, but we'll see. And I'll keep you in the loop and you'll be fully prepared. I don't want you to ever feel like there is a question that is too small for you to ask, because you have a lot of people here that will get back to you right away. And we want to make sure that you know answers to all of that. Mary Bo is a great first contact. I'll put up her contact information again at the end of this presentation. We understand that you might be running late for school. I know that at 390, the doors open at 8:10. They're closed within 5 minutes, so it's a quick gathering and entering into the building, but there is a main entrance that you could sign into and get your child into the school to come to us. We mark children late at 8:30, so we do have a little bit of a reprieve in the morning. I want you to realize, though, that when children are late, they're missing instruction. So while we do spend the first 10 minutes of the day unpacking and eating, we're getting right into our morning work, and that for children could include calendar work, work with the weather, work with structures and routines that are critical to them. So we'll work with you the best we can to make sure that we can support you. So parents, thinking about readiness for kindergarten, honestly, I do not know how many of you have sent your children to pre-K. It could be all of you, it could be a handful of you. When we think about kindergarten readiness and we think about the things that would be helpful for children to be able to do or know before they come into kindergarten, there really is no expectation that they're reading. However, we say we have a sort of a short list of very helpful things for children to be able to do before they come in. Do they know their colors? Do they know numbers from 1 to 10? Can they recognize if they see the number 1 or see the number 2? Can they say 1, 2? Even better if they could see the number 2 and know that that actually represents 2 items. Can they write their names? They don't have to be able to write them neatly, but do they have a sense of their names? Have they started writing their names? If not, start working on that with them now and get them ready for the start of September. Do they recognize the alphabet? So they might not know all of the letters of the alphabet, but do they know some of the letters of the alphabet? Even better if they know that the letter is attached to a sound. So like they know their letter A and they know it's the apple, A, apple, Teachers will go through that with them every single day, knowing that coming into kindergarten is absolutely golden. So work on the alphabet with them. Here's one, guys, that is going to be really challenging if you are you're a parent of a child who is going into kindergarten. Having them sit for long periods of time feels like an impossibility. Work on that a little bit. If you could get them to sit for 15 minutes in a row and refrain from fidgeting around, that is a major accomplishment. And we structure our day understanding that and knowing that. So there are breaks that are built in. Even if it's a stretch break, they'll kind of get a quick brain break, quick stretch break, and get back to work. It is hard for us to sit for sustained periods of time. So thinking about these little kindergarteners, we know that it's hard for them too. So one of the ways that you can help kids do that is read to them and just encourage them to stay in one place while you're reading to them, because the structure of school very much is you sit in one spot for a period of time, you engage in an activity, and then you move on to something else. So we're not going to see 45 minutes of that, but we might see stretches of 15 or 20 minutes before we move on to something new. If they don't know how to tie their shoes, start teaching them. I will tell you that my first grader knows how to tie his shoes. My fourth grader learned in third grade how to tie shoes. So it was not all at the same time. And so we, with my third grader, we were on the Velcro track for a while, and then we really switched over to laces. And it was challenging because I don't know that he was reluctant to learn how to tie shoes, but just took him longer how to do it. And now he knows how to do it. In fact, he was the one that taught my first grader how to tie his shoes. So I didn't have anything to do with it, but it's great. So now we're totally transitioned over. Other things like, for example, buttons, zippers, those type of things, they could be challenging for kindergartners. So the thing is that we want them to be able to use the bathroom on their own when they're coming into kindergarten. There's nobody that's going to be here to help them. So and I don't want to scare you on that. The thing is that kids that are in kindergarten could have an accident, right? Maybe they soil themselves. It happens. Little kids do that, right? So you'll send in a pair of a change of clothes for them. And the expectation would be that they themselves would be able to change those clothes. So if they're having a problem with buttons or zippers, all right, in that bag, you might want to have a pair of pants that has an elastic waistband or something so that they could get them back on themselves. Just prepare in that way. If it's something that is of a significant nature where it might require some sort of wiping or cleanup, it's possible we would give you a call. Look, it doesn't happen often, but it does happen. And in a situation like that, it's a twofold solution. One is we want to make sure that your child does not feel uncomfortable. We're going to do the best that we can to support them, emotionally, so that they know that someone is coming to help them. But we would give you a call. That's why we need to know what your contact list looks like, because you may be working in Manhattan and you may have your sister or your mom or your dad or something that's local that could come by the school to help them with that. But don't stress out about it. Also, like zippering up jackets. We know that it's warm out right now, and perhaps you've been doing all the zippering, but practice that with them, get them ready for that. So I'll try to get to questions if there are any other questions. Oh wait, let me see what came up in the chat so far. I went to pick up and drop off. I'm going to show you a picture actually of where where you'll actually walk your kids up to. Yes, they could bring their own breakfast and lunch. Bus service, I will have someone contact you. Will the classrooms at 390 have bathrooms in the classrooms? There are no bathrooms in the classrooms. However, they're right outside the classrooms, and we have our own bathrooms. So there's a boys' room and a girls' room literally right outside of the classrooms, and the three classrooms are right next to each other. So we have our own wing of the building. It's very simple. The children will all get different clusters, different specials. I'm not completely sure how the schedule will work out, but they'll all get gym. There is a gym in the building, and we'll have a gym teacher that goes over to provide that to them. They'll all get music. We'll have a music teacher that goes over and provides that to them. I'm working on the potential for an art teacher. I'm not totally sure yet what the budget holds, so just hang tight on that. When I know more about it, I will let you know. Unfortunately, parents, we don't have parties in the classrooms for things like birthdays. We encourage you to do that outside of school. However, if we can get back to some degree of normal life, I know that the teachers are open to dropping off of things like, cupcakes or something in the class and maybe sharing that. But not like goodie bags, any of that sort of stuff. You'd want to do that outside of school. But let's get closer to the start of school and see what type of restrictions get lifted, and then we'll clarify more on something like that. In terms of, one of the parents asked, will there be enough room at the school? Grab and go breakfast and lunch. There is grab and go breakfast But the lunch right now, I'm not expecting a grab and go lunch. I'm expecting like a sit down lunch in the cafeteria at the school. So we have grab and go lunch essentially now, but I'm not anticipating that for September. But again, keep that sort of in the back of your mind as a question that I'll come back to when we get closer to September, because if restrictions are lifted, kids will be going up to a cafeteria window, maybe collecting lunch on a tray and then sitting down at a table next to their friends and eating. Right now, they're 6 feet apart and they have, bagged lunches. And that's really their only time during the day where the masks are coming off. So it's a different life at the moment. We're all at 3 feet of social distancing for the full scope of the day, with the exception of the time that we're eating. If we get that restriction lifted, we'll be in a place of kids eating together, having recess together, very different than what life looks like right now. I started talking about questions that parents had. I thought this was a really good question. Will there be enough room? Well, we're assuming that there's enough room because we're assuming that 3 feet will be lifted by September. Because, mathematically, everyone, I look at 41, the main building that we're in right now, and when I figure out the math for 3 feet of social distancing, it doesn't work out to fit 100% of our kids in the building. Like right now, there isn't enough space if we had to get everybody in at 3 feet apart. So the way that this happens is that we get to that point where the restriction is lifted for 3 feet. If it's not, we're going back to another, another planning session to figure out what this may look like, because we have classes all over the place in the building right now with smaller sizes. We have a class that's set up in our cafeteria. I am anticipating next year that not to be the case. So right now, I want you to just kind of leave this call when we're done thinking about kindergarten fitting 25 children comfortably in the classroom like any other previous school year would have been for us. And that's how we've always functioned. And that's what I anticipate September to look like. Parent asked another great question about first grade. I want to be really clear. This is only for kindergarten. So first grade, children come right back to the main building of PS41 for first grade through 5th grade. So this is only a one-shot deal. It's only the first year in kindergarten. The following year, I'll be having the same conversation with the next group of kindergarten parents coming in, who will be again at 390. So this is only 1 year that this would happen for. Your children will engage in the Teachers College Reading and Writing curriculum. They will have Envisions Math. These curriculums our teachers are highly experienced in, and your children will learn a tremendous amount. They also do something called Foundations in kindergarten, where they're working on phonics. All of the classes feature differentiated groups. So meaning that if your child is in need of some extra support, they will get that in a small group. If your child is potentially in need of some enrichment and they're a high flyer in a particular subject, they too would be differentiated so that they would get the ability to do some small group work. In all of our kindergarten classes, we have built in more play-based learning. So we do expect that to be part of your child's life in September, play-based learning. We have spirit days all throughout the school year also. So any spirit day that's happening in the main site will also take place at the annex site of 390. I know that I've spoken with Principal Lee. They do spirit days also. So what we're hoping to do is collaborate on some of those spirit days, and some of them are just fun and silly, and we'll get fun and silly together. Parents, we need fun and silly ourselves. And most certainly if we have someone who's 5 years old or 4 years old in our lives, they love it, so something like Twin Day or Crazy Hair Day, Crazy Hat Day, a walkathon event. I know that I'm going to show Mrs. Principal Lee, I'm going to show a picture of Prince and Princess Day. I have that on my computer. So, and all of the kids at 41 also engage in theater arts. That's where they do music and dance. an instructor who's worked for us for many years, and he works with the kids in K-5, and they put on a performance together, and we're coming up actually on our kindergarten performance next week of Winnie the Pooh. That's provided completely through our PTA. And so when you're asked to participate in PTA events or fundraisers or drives, please know that that money and that fundraising, it goes directly into supporting your children in some of these extracurricular events, because the school budgets don't have a special budget for something like theater arts, but yet we have that. And that is because the PTA supports that, and that's because you support the PTA. So again, if the students at 390 are able to be part of what we're doing with that, that would even be better. Some of you may know this, but we share our main PS41 building with a District 75 school, P993. And if their children are on the same grade and they're able to align with our theater arts, they too participate in our theater arts and are part of that performance. This past year, everything was out the window, but we did it all virtually. So we had in-person and remote, and we brought them together, and it's been as amazing as it could possibly be. So don't worry, we're gonna have a lot for your kids to participate in. Report cards come out in 3 times a year, in November, March, and June. With that said, I encourage you not to wait until November or not to wait until March to find out that there's a challenge that's going on in class, okay? So if your child is struggling and you feel like they might be struggling, you're going to reach out to the teacher long before November. In fact, it would be a total expectation of me as the school leader for the teachers to be reaching out to you. I do not want you to get a report card in November that says that your child is struggling in math and you're hearing about it for the first time. That would be far too many days of school to have passed to be learning about something like that. So teachers are very much on the ball and getting in touch with you right away. Parent-teacher conferences will happen twice. They'll happen in November and they will happen in March. Those are our formal parent-teacher conferences. But again, I want to remind you, our teachers are available to you when you need them to be. So if you need to meet with them or be in touch with them, they'll have a system set up so that you can get in touch with them, whether it's through email, whether it's by phone, whether it's through an interface like this. And I know that Principal Lee will be logging off soon, but I'll invite her back to a later meeting when we have, when we have that later in the summer. If you need that DOE calendar with all of the dates, I put that in the chat earlier. I just put it back in again. It shows you all of the days that school is in session. It shows you when there are holidays and there is no school. Principal Lieb, I don't know about you at your at 390. In 41, I don't allow the wheeled backpacks because they scratch up the floors pretty badly when they're going through the hallways, and then they invariably break because kids are trying to take them down the steps. So I'm telling my parents no wheeled backpacks. So let's just get a nice backpack that they could wear. We'll keep it light. They're not going to be falling over. They should never be. It should not weigh more than they do as they're bringing things to and from school. Please stay involved with the school. There'll be countless opportunities from the PTA. A very big question, Mary Bo, that came up was about after school. Many parents asked about that. We have at the main building of PS41 right now what we call New York Edge, or some of you may know it as SASF. That, I want to be really clear, that's actually an annual grant that comes through that we've been fortunate enough to have for the past few years. Before SASF, there wasn't an after school at PS41, and we did things like our own self-sustaining program, but there really isn't aftercare that's available. I would not rely on there being aftercare available. If you need that, you should be thinking about that now. There are private services that do pick up from the schools and they can help you with that. I spoke with the person who runs New York Edge at 41. They may have some kindergarten seats available for September. I want to be clear though that I know that they would have to prioritize siblings, and that would only be under the circumstances that I'm able to get a bus from 390 to 41, and I'm not totally sure if that can happen right now. So I want you to just, in the most realistic and just in the most realistic terms of what I know at this very moment, try to plan for that aftercare for your kindergartner in some other way. At 41, I am anticipating having New York Edge. Again, they would prioritize siblings and or folks who have been part of New York Edge up to this point. There are not unlimited seats. They're very limited. The person who runs that, her name is Nicolette Pasquarelli. I'm putting her name into the chat. She also could be reached at the same phone number of PS41. And she'll be able to answer any questions that you may have about that. Oh, they can only take 6-year-olds, Mary? Yes?
My understanding is that it's really designed for 6-year-olds and up, but they will make allowances for kindergarten siblings who have an older sibling in the program.
Oh,
That's what they
okay.
told me. I'm not sure if guidelines have changed, but that's what they've been going with.
That's why I want everyone to make sure that they contact, I'm gonna put the name in the chat right now because I realized I sent a private message and I did not mean to do that. Nicolette Pasquarelli. She's New York Edge, SASF, 1-8-423-8333. That's how you can get in touch with her. Parents, if you could give me just a few more minutes, I want to just share my screen and just show you something else. Let me just go back to my screen share for 1 second. Mrs. Galan or Mary Bo, just tell me if I'm sharing my screen so that parents can see this. 1 second. Am I sharing my screen?
We see you.
Okay, great. So I showed you the map. That's me, and that's Principal Lieb at 390. It was a little colder out when we did that visit, but it happened to be Prince and Princess Day, and I didn't know about it. So the principal was dressed like a princess, but had I known about it, I would have been in full school spirit and figured out a way, or Mary would have helped me figure out a way to have to have participated in that event. This is the front of the school. So if you drive past the front of the school, you'll see it says the Civic School of Bayside Hills. Those are our teachers that were on the call before. Mrs. Koo wasn't on the call before. It's possible she might be with us, but the other 3 teachers to the left are our main kindergarten teachers. If you looked at the front of the building, you'd see the main entrance, Civic School of Bayside right there. You'd see another door to the left of that, and you'd see another door to the right of that. The door to the right of that is where our entrance will be for PS41. So we're not going in through the main entrance, we're going in through the entrance to the right of the main entrance. So if you look at this picture, you'll see that there's a playground and then our entrance for PS41. That's where you'll meet, that's where you'll drop your kids in the morning and you'll pick them up in the afternoon. Please just don't leave them at the door. Please make sure they're handed off to the adult that is at that door. This is what it looks like if you are walking in the main entrance. So if you happen to be late to the school, you come through this entrance. When you come to tour the building, we will have you come through this entrance because you'll have to sign in. This is what a kindergarten class currently looks like at 390 right now. So in terms of the space and the setup, you can imagine what it may look like for 41. The reason I can't show you 41 is because our rooms are totally empty right now. But this is what a kindergarten class looks like. So there's books, there's centers, there are tables and chairs, there's a sink in the back of the room. What you don't see in here is that there's a smart board. And I'm anticipating also having rugs in our rooms for kids to sit for reading time. This is the library in the building. All of our classrooms will have a very large number of books in the classroom, so children will be able to borrow and will have no problem with access to resources and books. This is the gym at the school. So when we have gym, we'll be able to use the gym. We'll program our gym around 390 and how they use the gym. This is the playground. This was in the winter, obviously, but this will be something that we could use for recess. It's fenced in. The principal of the school also has a permit for the street to be closed off during recess hours so that if we want to, we could also use the street to play. That is common for a school that does not have a larger playground. So they don't have like what we have at the main building. And truthfully, parents on this call, if you have other kids that are in the main building of 41, I'm probably going to put a permit in for some street access on the Crocheron Park side, because when we have construction going on, we're going to lose most of our playground. And I want to have a space for kids to go out during lunch. This is our contact information. On my screen, my name is being cut off. Mary, are you getting cut off on that screen?
I see everything.
Okay, so you see my name and email address. You see Mrs. Galan and her email address, Mary Bowe and her email. Those are all open to you to just reach out. Parents, don't feel apprehensive about reaching out to me or to my assistant principal or to Mary Bowe. You know, our job is to be here for you. So reach out to us. I also put the address of 390 at the bottom. If you want to take a swing by there, take a drive by and see what it looks like, just at least from the outside. But I want you to know I will set up a way for us to tour that space before school starts, and so you can get your children into that building. Okay. Nicolette, she doesn't know how the bus services work for drop off from 390. Right now, I don't know how that would work either. I'm assuming that right now, just at this very moment on the 15th of June, I'm assuming that there will not be bus from 390 to 41 for New York Edge. So I want you to just plan around that. If that changes, then I'll communicate that back out to you. But right now, it's something that I want you to just plan around if possible. But again, I want to try to work it out. So please know I'm in your corner for this one. I'm calling everybody under the sun to make this like the easiest that it could possibly be. Are there any other questions maybe that I didn't get to? I know I'm saying a lot. We're recording this, so I'll put it back up if you missed anything, so you'll be able to come back to it. But is there another question you might want to drop in the chat before we end the call? Mary, you know what I wanted to do? I don't know. I wanted to show a little clip of our last student project where we did the same but different. Parents, at 41, whether you're here or at 390, it is a major priority for us to recognize that our children and families come from all different backgrounds. And we do celebrate that at 41. And it's always been a priority for us through just our daily lives, through our celebration of International Night at the school. Every day we get a little bit better at making sure that everybody feels included. Recently, every student at the school participated in the reading of a book called Same But Different, which essentially has two children comparing their lives from totally different parts of the world and talking about.
That's who's calling.
Hello. Oh, wait.
I was gonna say thanks. Please go on mute. Oh my gosh, that happens to me so many times when my phone's going off. I want to just show you a small clip of something that everybody participated in before we end the call. If you're willing just to stay on for another minute, let me do another screen share for a second, and it'll be, I think it's 3 minutes long that I narrowed it down to, and I'll let you guys go. Let me just get back to that on my Zoom. I'm going to do another screen share, and I'm going to share my sound. And I'm going to share and just.
Hello everyone, we are the PS41 Student Council.
Welcome to PS41's Same But Different school event.
Each class read the book.
Same but different.
Each class then chose a different way to celebrate our differences.
We found that although we have a lot in common,
it's our differences that make us unique.
This is a celebration of how we are all the same,
but different.
We hope you enjoy it.
And remember to let your differences shine.
Same
but different. confident with taking care of my dog and being independent. I am Greek and I am confident with drawing. I'm Japanese and I'm confident at jumping rope. I am Korean and I am confident playing golf. I am American and I am confident playing sports. I'm Korean and I am confident playing ice hockey. I'm Korean and I'm confident with karate. I'm Chinese and American and I'm confident with hula hooping. I am Chinese, Indian, and American. I'm confident making slideshows. We are all born in a different way. How we look. And what we say. If everyone were the same, you see. You wouldn't be you. And I wouldn't be me.
All right, let me just close this out.
What I say about the cute? Wasn't that the cutest thing? Oh my God, so cute. Okay.
Mary, that was the 5-second version of it, right? Because I think it was 30 minutes long, 30 minutes originally. Parents, we love your kids. We are here for them. We are committed to making sure that they have the most amazing experience, and we are here for you. You are not alone. Please, please reach out to us. You have a lot of support here at the school. We are very much looking forward to seeing you in September. And please just keep looking for the outreach on that email list, because that is my main way to get in touch with you right now. And I assure you that someone will reach out about bus to see what your needs might be. Okay, so thanks for your time today, and have an excellent afternoon, and please send our best to your kids. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, Mr. Ferrara.